Hi there folks. In this video we're going to have a look at some unusual blank ammunition. This is 6.5 by 55mm Swedish blank ammunition. Please excuse my pronunciation, but it looks to me like it's Los Patron M14 or blank cartridge M14 or probably 1914. And the thing that makes these look really strange are these wooden bullets. They look like the sharpened end of a pencil without the pencil lead. So these were manufactured out of once-fired cartridge cases. So the Swedes would police up all their fired ammo and send it back to factories to be reused, the cartridge cases to be reused for the manufacture of gallery ammunition and also for blanks. And they had to mark that so that they knew it was once fired. You'll notice here on this particular round there's a K and there's a little mark beside the K, and all these cases have marks on them. This one's got a little triangle stamped onto it. They have these marks there to indicate that the case has been reused once. So you have the four segments on this particular case. You'll see there's a mark there, 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 and there. Those are unrelated, but that other mark shows that the case has been reloaded. So anyway, these are a Berdan primed case. They are reputedly non-corrosive. And anyway, I just thought they were kind of interesting. My buddy had a number of them in a bag at his shop, and I figured we'd have a look at them just to see what's going on. They had been available over the years from suppliers for quite cheap prices in large numbers. I don't know if there's a supply of them on the go at the moment, but a lot of people buy them to pull apart, to salvage the powder, and to reuse the primed cases for full power ammo. The cartridge cases are supposedly inspected like 3 times in the process of their reuse, so they should be safe to reuse. To compare that to a more modern blank, here we have a 9mm blank, and you can see that it doesn't have a wooden bullet. It has a crimp to sort of substitute for the bullet so that this will feed. This is an old 9mm SMG blank that I happened to find out at the ground. On the ground out at the range, there was a lot of these sold a few years ago, super cheap, and for some reason somebody was out banging away with them at the range. These are really awkward in a handgun because of their length. You basically can't eject them from most handguns when they're fired, so these were meant to be used in a submachine gun. Anyway, because all these cartridges were loaded with reused cartridge cases, when you get these blanks, they tend to be a bit of a built-in cartridge collection because of the different varieties of manufacturers' cases that they use. They made no effort, it seems, to separate them by manufacturer. So just go through and we'll look at the different cases that I got with this particular lot. So here on the top you can see AMF, which I believe just stands for Ammunition Factory, and the 24 code on the bottom. Let's see, I looked this up. It's, once again, I'm going to murder my Swedish here. It appears to be Norrahammer's Brook. That's what it looks like to me. My English pronunciation, once again, apologies to the Swedes. That's what that one's from. Let's see, we've got another one here. This one is AMF, Ammunition Factory 25, and that is Vulcan's. Oh goodness, I'm not even going to go look that. I'm not even going to try that one. That one's a big long word that I'm only going to butcher horribly. So I'll put a link in the video description below to the web page that I referenced for these head stamps, so you can go look it up yourself and not hear me butcher it too horribly. We've got another one here, AMF 26, and that's looks like it's Svenska Metalverken, which I think would be Swedish Metalworks, and this one actually has a date code, 41 for 1941. Let's see, we have, this one is a German-made case. It is DWM, although the D has been struck through a little bit with that reuse mark. So that's Deutsches Waffen and Munition Fabrik. So German Arms and Munitions Factory, 1941. And I think we've got another one here from DWM, 1942. And they have a crown on the top there, I guess to indicate the Swedish crown. Interesting that the Germans were still exporting cartridges to Sweden as late as 1942, but I imagine that stopped pretty soon afterwards because their own domestic needs were probably quite dire. Got a couple here that I could not find a link to reference this particular head stamp. So this one looks like MA to me, 1947, and on top it's VI46. The reuse mark has been struck beside the other digit on the Roman numeral there. So I'm assuming 1947, but I could not find any reference to the marking at the 12 o'clock or the 6 o'clock position. So once again, it looks to me like MA. It could be HA. And we have another one which is very similar. It has the VI46 on top. This one's 48 instead of 1947, and HA at the 6 o'clock position. So if the viewers know what those head stamps indicate, please feel free to tell me in the comments down below. Anyway, let's pull a couple of these rounds apart and let's see what's inside them. Alright, I pulled a couple of these rounds apart. These were especially kind of nasty looking ones, at least some corrosion up there by the case necks. Probably not stored all that well, so I figured I'd pull these ones apart just to see what's inside. This particular round, what's this one marking? This is a German-made one, 1941 DWM round. There's quite a severe crimp on these cartridges. You can see how much that's curled in. We'll pick one up here that has not been pulled apart and we'll have a closer look at it. Get the camera to focus. You can see quite a severe crimp on the bullet. So I guess that's probably to keep this thing from pulling apart while it's being handled, and also to get the powder to burn perhaps a little bit better because of the very light weight of these wooden bullets. So we'll grab the pan for the scale here and we'll dump the powder out. And this has got a German style square cut sheet powder. To those of us in North America, this would look more like a shotgun or pistol powder. This is kind of this flake type powder is more common in those types of burn rates, but the German style of rifle powders were often in this square cut flake, so the burn rate can vary a lot from what it would look like originally. However, this is relatively fast powder for being loaded into a rifle round because it's not being used for a rifle bullet but for a blank. So this stuff is reputedly about the same burn speed as Unique, and I have not verified that independently, but the charge weights I get from this stuff sync up with what I've seen other people report online, and those people have loaded this powder when, if you had 800 or 1,000 rounds of this stuff that you were going to pull apart, you'd end up with a considerable quantity of powder, and a lot of folks have reused this powder, and they say you can use Unique data. It might be a little bit slower than Unique, but that's what they say. So we'll get the scale pulled in here. Hopefully we can see that. Looks good on the camera display. Hopefully it shows up on the video, so we'll put that on the scale. And we're getting 22.9 grains. We'll weigh the charge from the second round that I pulled apart and see what it's got in it. And I'll give this thing a little tap to make sure nothing's stuck inside. And that one's got 23.3 grains of that powder in it. So yeah, once again, pretty similar to the numbers that other people online have gotten for that particular blank powder. So interesting. So we'll zero the scale here again, and we'll weigh these wooden bullets. So let's see what those weigh. That one's 7.9 grains, and the second one is 6.9 grains. So that shouldn't be much of a surprise that they vary, because they are made out of wood, which is a natural material, and of course the density of wood varies depending upon whereabouts in the tree it was, so that really shouldn't make any particular difference at all. You can see that these have a hollow base. They're kind of drilled out on the underside, and I believe that is to make sure that they come apart when they come out of the muzzle, so they don't want these things flying down range. They wouldn't go terribly far because of their super light weight. However, they would be very dangerous at close range, and I believe that hole is there so that the pressure will cause the wooden bullet to splinter into pieces when it comes out the muzzle. So one should be very cautious with this stuff. Should you decide to fire any, you need to fire it in a safe direction. It can cause injury and property damage at close range, I am sure. So the Swedes had a muzzle attachment for training purposes that screwed on or clamped on the muzzle of the rifle, and it was there to, I guess, to contain any of these splinters, to keep them from flying around. Perhaps initially they used the rifles without that type of system, and they probably got injuries, because I know Army people aren't always, especially conscripts, often people will do stupid things. So I'm sure in Sweden somebody took a shot at somebody else in some place and put their eye out with these things, or caused them some other injury. So anyway, once again, safety is an issue with blank ammunition. Even this kind of blank can cause severe injuries at close range. The people think there's no projectile, but there is. There's the powder granules and there's the gases, and they're going at extremely high speed, and they can cause especially damage to eyes, and obviously to hearing if fired too close to somebody. So caution is always in order with blank ammo. Anyway, I think that's a close enough look at the bullet. We've seen the powder, we've seen the bullet. The cartridge cases is really not much to show you. They're just a Berdan Prime 6.5 by 55. So that's pretty much the end of that. I'm not sure if I'll tag it onto this video or I'll make a separate one, but I'm going to try firing a few of these rounds just to see how loud they are. So it may be right after this footage, or it may be a separate video. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.